Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Laura. Over here I document my lock journey and teach you tips and tricks of how to care for your locks and natural hair in hopes of us all being confident in rocking our natural hair. In today's video I'm going to be addressing some misconceptions that people have about locks, but before I begin I want to extend a very big thank you to those who've been following along this journey. This originally started as a way for me to document my lock journey because I wasn't seeing any content out there that I was looking for, so I decided to create it. So thank you for being here, and if you're interested in content related to locks, and eventually I'm going to start pushing out some faith content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when we have new videos. So to jump into today's video, I'm going to be addressing some misconceptions that people have about locks. There's so many, and this video is not meant to bash anyone at all because some of these misconceptions I held prior to having locks myself. So I'm hoping that this can be an opportunity for us to educate each other, whether you're new to your lock journey or whether you're just interested in learning about locks. In this video, I'm hoping that I can address based off of my experience, and I will use that as a disclaimer just to say that not everyone's experience is the same. There are going to be people who've experienced these things a little bit differently. So if you're listening to this, you're listening to my experience. I'm very long-winded at times, so I'll dive right into the topic today. So the first thing that I want to address that a lot of people feel about locks is that they smell bad. I can understand why someone would think that locks smell bad. There are different sizes of locks, as we know. The more the free-form ones tend to take a more natural look to them, and I guess people might have the assumption that just the way the locks look, there must be an odor, which is not always the case. I'm gonna say not always the case. So in my experience, my locks do not smell bad at all. From being loosely natural and having my hair in locks, there is not that big of a difference. With hair, it really depends on what you're doing to it, right? So if I decided to wash my hair tonight and I went to sleep with maybe a bonnet on it, is there likely to be a scent in the morning? Absolutely. But because locks are a little bit heavier than loose natural hair, I could see where they would carry a scent a little bit more, but in general, locks do not smell bad. I've only had issues with scent when I've been, like, let's say I go to a bonfire. The scent tends to linger a little bit longer than it would in my loose natural hair, but for the most part, locks do not smell bad. The next misconception that people have about locks, especially those who are considering getting them, is that they're a lot of work. I'm gonna start by saying that locks are probably the most relaxed hairstyle that I've had, and I've tried a lot of different hairstyles, not just with my natural hair. I've done everything from wearing wigs to having sew-ins to having braids in my hair. You name it, I've probably tried it. And I find that locks are very, very, very easy to manage. They're not really a lot of work. It really depends on how much work you want to put into the hairstyle. There are people who like to wear their hair in different styles. They like it to look a little bit more cleaner, meaning that you can see the parts. So that basically means that they're going to be retwisting a little bit more frequently. I, on the other hand, I started off with 4 retwists a year when I started this channel. No, actually a little bit later on, I switched to 4 retwists a year, and I have to increase the amount a little bit more just because my hair is growing at a different rate than it was when I was at that point. So I actually go like 3 to 4 months without retwisting my hair, even 5, and I'm okay with that. As you can see right now, I have not retwisted my hair in a really long time, and I prefer the look where my roots are not so clean and you can see the parts, but I have to retwist it more than I'd like to, only because my locks are a little bit smaller and I don't want my hair to merge together. So they're not a lot of work. In the morning, I spray my hair with the mixture that I made, which is aloe vera and rose water, and I'm good to go. And then I wash it. So other than washing and misting it with something to keep moisture in it, there's really not much to it. Every once in a while, I do detox my locks. Now on this channel, you will see me experiment with different things because I am new to my lock journey. I'm about 2 years in. If you want to see the progression of my 2-year journey, I have a video where I'm talking through that journey as well. But for the most part, they're very low maintenance. Part of why I got locks is because I did not have the time to get ready every morning and do something with my hair, or even have time to start thinking about what next hairstyle I'm gonna have. So locks seem to be a good fit, and they've been a good fit since getting them. The next misconception that people have about locks is that you cannot wash them. When you first get locks installed, depending on the method you choose, some people do comb coils, some people do two-strand twists, some people use braids. You want your hair to start locking. The hair actually does not start locking right away. It takes months, and it really depends on the person's hair texture, their hair care, how quickly the hair is going to lock. You don't want to wash your hair too frequently in the beginning because you don't want to unravel that initial style that's been used to install your locks. Meaning, if I had, let's use myself for an example, I started with two-strand twists. If I start washing my hair right when the twists are installed, there's a chance that the twists are going to unravel, which defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do, which is lock my hair. So it's always recommended that you wait longer periods of time between washes just to give your hair enough time to tangle and to start locking. And when you do wash your hair, there actually are different techniques that you can use to prevent the hair from unraveling. So that's the only point where I've heard people say they don't wash their hair, and it's not that they don't wash it at all, it's they're not washing it as frequently. Now, where I am in my lock journey, I wash my hair whenever I want. In the beginning, I was more careful because I didn't want them to the locks to unravel. I started with twists, as I mentioned before. So right now, if I feel like my hair needs to be washed, I'll wash it. Locks do require washing. You do need to wash your hair just like any other hairstyle. The next one is you cannot go back to loose natural hair once you're locked. This is false. You can go back to your loose natural hair. However, I will add that disclaimer. It's a lengthy process, and there's a chance that you're going to lose a lot of hair in the process. There are people who decide in their lock journey that they don't want to have locks anymore, so they go ahead and comb their locks out. Imagine your hair being tangled for a long period of time and you have to comb it out. You're gonna lose a lot of hair. That's why a lot of people choose to just cut it off and start afresh. I'm sure there are people who have unraveled their locks and they've had thick hair. You definitely can restart your lock journey. I will also mention that the earlier you are in your lock journey, the easier it's going to be to unravel and start over. So if you're a person who's considering starting your lock journey and you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, I would say from like the beginning to month 6, you really could comb your locks out if you wanted to with no issue, or might need to use like a conditioner just to unravel it. The next misconception that people have about locks is you can only start with short hair, which is false. There are people who start their hair at different lengths. My hair was not extremely short when I started. I didn't have long hair, but it definitely was not extremely short. For the maintenance purposes, some people decide to start with shorter length hair. If you have heat damage, maybe some people will cut off the heat damaged ends and start. I actually started with heat damage at the front of my hair. And what I've done over time is I've just snipped off those ends because they were not locking. So you don't have to start with short hair. People who have sister locks tend to start their hair with longer lengths. So you definitely can start your lock journey at any length. The next one that I want to address is that locks are unprofessional. This one really bothers me because I think we need to redefine what professional looks like and not adhere to the European standards of beauty when we're defining professionalism. I think it's a big thing that tends to happen, and we have a long way to go when it comes to this. Even though we're all wearing our natural hair, I don't think we're all to the point where we understand that you can have a big afro and it's professional. You can have locks that are not neatly quote unquote done and they're still professional. Professionalism is more about your attitude and more about what you bring to whatever it is that you're doing. And of course, we want to be decent in our appearance, but your hairstyle does not mean that you're a professional or not. So are locks unprofessional? Absolutely not. I work in an environment right now and there are not a lot of people who look like me. Neither are there a lot of people who have hair like me. Actually, I don't think anyone has locks that I work with. And I present in a professional way regardless. Anyways, that's my experience. And if you're worried about what people are gonna think about you when you change your hair, if you really feel like this is how you wanna wear your hair and this is your true self, I don't think your job should dictate how you wear your hair, basically. The next misconception about locks that people have is that you need a professional to maintain them. I will say false, but also this depends on your comfort level with handling your hair. I always encourage people to learn how to do their hair. Really, you can start your locks by yourself. You can maintain them by yourself. There's really not much to it. Once you figure out a technique that works best for you, there is value in professionals. Like if I were to do my hair versus a professional doing my hair, the time is going to be different. So if I want something done quickly, I'm more likely to have someone else do it for me than doing it myself. And also there's knowledge that they have that we don't always have. So there's a plus, not bashing professionals, but you don't need a professional to maintain your locks. So those are the misconceptions that people have about locks. This video is really an opportunity to educate. Even though, as I mentioned before, natural hair is big right now. Everybody is pro natural hair, but there's a lot of stuff that goes around, and I think there are mindsets that people still hold. And how I know this is because I've heard some of these things said to me. There are a lot of things I've heard people ask me about my hair, people who look just like me, that still to this day is shocking. But I'm also not surprised because we haven't been exposed to natural hair our whole lives. Now it's more of a trend and a movement, but moving beyond it being a trend and a movement, I'm hoping that as we educate each other, we can learn that this is a part of who we are. Okay, that's my long tangent, but if you like this video, go ahead, subscribe to this channel. I encourage you to follow me on Instagram, where I share pictures of my lock journey. That's another way for you to stay connected. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.